Playoffs? We're talking about playoffs? Playoffs? Like 5% of you are going to know that reference, and I appreciate every single one of you that does. Just saying. Let's get into it. With the regular season wrapped up, before we officially go into the playoff preview, we got to discuss All-Pro because the ballots are out there. I do not have one, but you all, and myself included, can go vote in the fan vote. So I want to give you by role my top 3 in their particular order based on what I saw on the Rift as well as the stats. That is an important discussion or distinction early on because I know many people are going to just look at the numbers and not use the eye test as well. I just want to make that clear. So in top lane, I've got Thanatos at 1, Gakkos at 2, and Castle at 3. I think the only one that people will really possibly throw a fit with is the inclusion of Castle at 3, given his recent stint with Lion. But I don't believe their drafts have set him up well for success. And even in some of those losses, he still looked good. On a DSG roster that did miss playoffs now, he looked fantastic as well. Yes, the team couldn't come together. I think their issues were elsewhere, but overall Castle was doing exactly what he wanted to do and get leads in lane, notably with I think the highest counter pick ratio in the entire league, if I'm not mistaken. It was pretty impressive. Beyond that, I think most people will understandably put Thanatos in their highest goal differential at 15 minutes. I mean, he's just the best laner in the league. And C9 at the moment right now is team fighting incredibly well. On top of that, Thanatos' problems have honestly never been the regular season. They have always been in playoffs. So this should not be a surprise ballot for anybody. But Gakko showing this much improvement from lock-in to now is amazing to see. In jungle, I do have Jose Dioto at number 1, Inspired at 2, Blabber at 3, with Griffin in a very close but still somewhat distant 4. Their early on results and some of Griffin's throwaway plays notably do exclude him from this list. Jose at 1 is pretty clear and understandable. He has been one of the best early game junglers in this entire league. Even in their losses against both Lion and C9, he's getting leads. Now, his team fighting later on, TL's team fighting in general, seems to be a little bit directionless. They tend to throw plays away as they get picked off one by one. But for Jose doing his job here, he's doing everything that he can to put them in a position to win series and win games and just turbo gapping some of the best junglers in the league, including games over Inspired. And, well, he didn't close out that game too versus Blabber, but we all know what happened in the later stage of that. Inspired at number 2 is going to be a little bit more controversial because I would say he's had a very down split in terms of the stats. It is not like this runaway favorite of Inspired clearly being the best jungler in the league. But the thing that you have to include with him is that we know and can see via public information the amount of work that he puts into this team in terms of his shot calling and leadership in their macro. Okay. That is not something that can go discounted because we see it. If we didn't see it, then sure, you can't really disclose it. You're taking a guess. But this is pretty cut and dry. I would argue Blabber has had a better split in terms of like the pop-off individual performances, maybe some team fight mechanics, but you just have to give this upgrade and like this plus on the grading scale. They're both say like an A-. This puts Inspired in an A, simply because he's doing so much more than just his own individual play and directing Lion around the map. So kudos to him. Kudos to Jose for one of the best splits that I've ever seen him play. He was really freaking good. In mid lane, this one's a little bit more contested. I don't know if there's going to be a clear top 3 or people will debate this a little bit more. I've got Saint at 1, Quad at 2, Darkwings at 3. Saint has not had any of the oopsies that we've seen him have in lock-in that made it such a big question of like, oh, where's the Lion that we thought would come in and be favorites that would eventually go on to win the lock-in split? Saint has just been solid all split long. His team fighting has been immaculate whenever it's time for Lion to finally group up. Quad, I think, has been very quietly having a fantastic split. It's one of those where like all the attention has kind of gone to the top 3, with FlyQuest being just like this outsider that barely beat out Sentinels to get that 4th seed in playoffs. But I think a lot of that does come on the back of stability and damage that Quad is putting out. He is the highest damage percentage of his team of any mid laner in the league right now. His DPM is actually crazy, and he's carrying a lot of weight in these fights that is not going to go unnoticed by me. So I put second for him. The only reason I can't put it higher is because I just think Saint overall has been a little bit of a better package. I think Quad would have a argument possibly for like most valuable player on his team. Not, I don't have him in my MVP list. I'll disclose that here in a minute, but yeah, just a really good split for him. And then Dark Wings, again, another kind of quiet but stable and solid performance in mid lane. It feels like this is one of those splits where we didn't really have anybody pop off in mid because our flashier players like Quid did have a down split. So it's more the consistent guys that get the nod whenever the the highlight makers, the trash talkers like APA, didn't play as well. So that's my 3 there. Bot side should be no surprise in terms of the top 2. Berserker at 1, B-Voy at 2. 3, I think, is a toss-up, personally. Yawn had quite a few int games that I felt better putting Sven in there. Even though Sven didn't have like the best laning stats, I think his team fights have been clean. There have been quite a few games where, yes, he gets kind of thrown the ball where somebody makes like a really weird play, but he just carries it out. And his damage per minute in some of these fights, especially the game I remember he got Varus, dude, he's just poking everybody out, chunking everybody, doesn't die, stays safe in the back line. There weren't any like those Ezreal E-forward moments that we assume was Ven. Once again, those typically come in the playoffs. So this is a pretty standard like expectation from Sven in terms of the regular season. But Berserker, you got to give him credit. B-Voy, obviously on a lot lesser of a team, that team that's coming in at 6th place, but a lot of that is on his shoulders and him performing incredibly well and consistent. I know, obviously, the jungle performance from contracts in the single series that they want to qualify will be a bit more of the highlight, but you got to look at many of the games where Shopify lost. B-Voy's got like 2,000-3,000 gold leads, and everybody else on his team is drastically far behind. The only person that's had bigger gold leads this split is Berserker. I mean, the dude's just been on fire and dominant in lane. In terms of support, I do have Vulcan at 1. Should be no surprise there. Isles at 2 and Huhi at 3. In my opinion, this has been the pretty clear top 3 in terms of supports, but I do think the gap between Vulcan and Isles and Huhi is pretty damn big, and probably, in my opinion, the biggest like differential between 1 and 2 in the entire league. Just my take. I know a lot of people are going to say Thanatos and Gakkos, but I genuinely think that Gakkos has had a really good split that helps close the gap there versus Vulcan just being miles ahead of everybody else. Jumping to the MVP conversation, I do think that Jose Dioto, unfortunately, by not beating C9 and having some of those falter moments in team fights later on, especially when he gets as big of a lead as he did in that game too, that does take away from it for me. The fact that Vulcan has played solid all split has enabled C9 to do very well in these team fights. Yes, I know it's an enchanter meta. He is very strong at them, but that's just the nature of how things go sometimes. The meta can sometimes play in your favor. And yes, I know people will look at this and say, well, what about Thanatos? Yes, Thanatos has been a great bruiser frontline, but when I look at the plays that Vulcan has been making and the things that he has been doing, it passes the eye test in addition to the stat test. I just think it's clear that Vulcan is like the best player on C9 right now, which might be contested by some, but that's just me. I think it's head and shoulders above. Jose Dioto at 2 and Berserker at 3. I feel very confident. I think most people have like a combination of these 3 somewhere in there. Some people might put Thanatos on there. I just personally don't. And I know this is not part of stats, but I do want to note Surdy's insane start to the year. He's only played 2 series, granted against weaker opponents, but he is putting people in the dirt, okay? And I really hope either he maintains his spot with DSG, or if there are problems elsewhere, you possibly see trades similar to what Lion did, where Castle ends up going to them over DSG. Like, I want to see Surdy continue to have his shot in this league. He, through 2 series, has already proven enough to me that he's better than Fudge and could easily replace him on Shopify right now. Okay. I'm just saying this man's stats are pretty good. So on a roster that unfortunately has missed playoffs, for a DSG team that there's some up and downs. Obviously, Kryra and Sajet are rookies. They get time to develop, and maybe it won't develop as well as they would on better teams because of everything around them. But when you look at the stat outlier like Surdy is seeing right now, you just got to look at that and be like, damn, okay, sure. I want to see more of this. Yes, please. All right, taking a look at the Shinehawkers. We are 739 strong. If you want to join the league, be sure to click the link in the description down below. I am still sitting at 464th. God bless. But we have to make a change this week because not every player is going to be playing. I don't know how I'm going to make this work, but we'll figure it out because I need to find a way to replace both Kryra and Call Me, given that they are done for the split, but everybody else is playing. So I'm going to have to make a sacrifice somewhere to see where I can like make this work, because dropping this, I mean, the cheapest players I can't even buy right now. Oh, I can't even confirm it? Really? You can't even lock in? What am I supposed to do? I guess I just have to go with like really cheap options besides this. Like Yawn's already... I guess I'll just like ignore support for the time being, kind of, or like just chuck like the lowest amount of points possible on like Shopify, like a first Seo support, which then should allow me to get a coach that is like actually playing this weekend in Spawn. So I have to quite literally pick a player that's not playing this weekend. That's the only thing I can do in this particular situation. That's actually crazy. All right, whatever. Screw it. Look forward to getting 0 points for support this week. Awesome. It's my dumb fault. I recognize that. It is what it is. As for this weekend's playoff matchups, we're going to start on Friday with that C9 versus FlyQuest series. Again, both of these we just saw 2 weeks ago. And we did see FlyQuest nearly take a 2-0, but then decide to lose the series 2-1. So I actually have a good bit of confidence that FlyQuest can keep this closer than most people are expecting. Now, granted, both of these teams looked very bad in this particular moment the last time they played. However, I'm waiting for the shoe to drop when it comes to C9. It is playoff time, okay? This is when they start to look iffy. Now, they've only lost one best of 5 all year, but I think the FlyQuest has leveled up a good bit. In my heart of hearts, I can sit here and make the case for you that I think Gakgos genuinely can keep up with Thanatos in this matchup, especially when the pressure gets on, but they are playing from the side studio, which kind of defeats that. Blabber, we've seen run it down at points, and Griffin is continuously improving. Again, Quad has been stable. I think has the advantage over APA. And bot lane, I think that's more even, more of a wash in lane, probably more favored towards C9 as you go into team fights. My biggest problem with this matchup is just I don't think it's time for C9 to lose yet. I think they will. I don't think C9 goes perfect throughout this playoffs in terms of their series wins. The question just becomes, when do they drop that series? And I don't think it's this one, but I am going to say it goes the distance. Give me 3-2 C9 over FlyQuest. It pains me to say that. I would love for them to falter here. There would be nothing better. I know like Dom hates FlyQuest now because of the whole co-streaming video, and I understand many people are going to, but I do like the roster. So I hope they do it. I just don't think they will. As for Team Liquid versus Lion, look, I'm not going to sugarcoat this. Obviously, I'm very biased. I'm going to be picking Team Liquid from the jump. But objectively looking at this, you look at topside, Dokla has been able to neutralize Morgan in the series that we saw them play. In general, Morgan has not lived up to these expectations of being able to either smash lane or smash team fights. Like, there really hasn't been anything that he stood out on. And Dokla has played his role on this Lion team very well. Castle hasn't fit in yet. I'm not assuming that they're going to win a single Castle game yet. I think that's a fair thing to assume until proven otherwise. So, with that in mind, you look elsewhere. Jungle, I would give the edge to Jose Dioto for now, but in team fights and late game shot calling, you would give the advantage to Inspired. In the mid lane, if Quid could actually hit a spell, I might give him the advantage, but he can't right now. So you have to give it the same. Advantage there. Bot lane, you give the advantage to Berserker at the moment. He's currently the best laner in the league and is an incredible team fighter. And support, Core JJ hasn't looked great. Isles has looked better, but I'm not going to say that much more. To me, it's just one of those where I need to see Team Liquid draft better and level up, because I think we know exactly what we can kind of expect from Lion going into playoffs, and that is they will be at objectives when they're supposed to be, and they will team fight well. And all of the players on Lion tend to step up in these clutch moments. Dokla specifically looks a lot better. Berserker comes to play, and Inspired looks absolutely amazing when playoffs hit. So it is a fool's mission to 9 times out of 10 bet against them whenever we know that they are going to improve. But Team Liquid does have the hands to be able to get early advantages. It's just a matter of whether they can close them out or if they're going to draft for these team fighting comps. I mean, we just haven't seen them perform on them yet. So you lose a little bit of confidence. I'm just biased and still going to pick them anyways. I don't really give a shit. I'm giving Team Liquid the edge here. 3-2 in this matchup as well. I'm saying both are going the distance, that it will be close. However, I can see a world where TL levels up pretty substantially in 3-0s this series. I don't see a world where Lion 3-0s, they're just not that clean. They're not going to be that, especially if they do decide to play Castle as well. I guess that's my hot prediction. It's like a 3-1, I favor Lion. A 3-2 or a 3-0, I prefer TL for whatever reason, but I'm definitely picking TL. Anyways, thank you all for tuning in. Thank you for watching this week's episode of The Pit. If you haven't done so, be sure to hit that subscribe button down below, drop a like on the video, and turn on that bell for notifications anytime we go live, including co-streams that'll be live for both series this upcoming weekend. I don't have to teach golf on Sunday, which means we'll be live the entire time. And it's playoffs, baby. It's going to be fun. I'll see you around. Bye-bye.